Christmas Day, and here I am in my workshop. No, don't worry, I haven't wrapped my table saw up as a present to myself. I'm just doing a bit of spraying today. I've got to do my initial tests on the lacquering system. Well, I've done initial tests, but this is the first test on one of the proper panels. So I've covered my table saw with some paper to protect it, and I've put together a little jig, or a little rig to hold the boards while I'm spraying them. And here's the first board I'm going to have a go at. First of all, I need to make sure I've got rid of all the dust that's on here, because it's been left with the dust that was generated when it was rubbed down, just to help any oil that was in it to come out. So I need to get rid of that first of all. So that's the model. Now, I had all the boards, as you saw in the previous video, I had a lot of trouble getting these boards dry. I've had them up on stands all around the workshop with the fire going for about a week to dry them out, and it's taken an awful lot of doing, but they're now in a condition where I think I can actually spray them. So here's the first go. So, safety first, I've got to put my face mask on. Here we've got the lacquer. Right. Right, it's given that a little span over, just making sure there was no obvious little white speckles, so that it's covered all the way across. I'll leave that for half an hour, then I've got to rub it down with, well, Perry recommended 800 grit, but for my orbital sander I've actually got some 1000 grit pads, so I'll put one of them on it and just give it a quick zuzz over after half an hour. Right, here I am then. Done about half an hour now since I sprayed that, and it's looking nice. It looks nice and dry. It seems to dry in about 10 minutes flat, but I prefer to give it half an hour to be on the safe side, just in case, because I don't want to gum my sander up at all. And I've got a 1000 grit pad on there, so A1000. It's a very fine grit, just to take off any of the risen grain that's come up as a result of the lacquering. So, got my extractor on. Open up this baffle. Yep. Right, that looks nice. So, next thing, back onto the stand, and another spray with the lacquer. So, move the camera over here so you can see me in action. There we go. Right then, so that's on there. Once again, vacuum it off, make sure there's no dust on it. Right then, shall put my mask on and give it another lacquer. it's easy to see now if I've actually given it a full coating, because obviously there's an instant colour change last time from the dusty white down to as soon as the liquid got onto it. But no, that looks like it's well covered. So I'll leave that for another half an hour and get back indoors to the family, who are well impressed with me being out here on Christmas Day. Well then, we've got the first 2 coats on here. So first coat, then rubbed down with 1000 grit. Second coat's on and it's dried nicely. I'm now going to put the third coat on, and then according to Perry's instructions, it's give that a sand off once again with the very fine grit, and then a final coat, and we'll have a look at it after that. So first of all, the third coat. Right then. Right. Hopefully that'll do the trick. Yeah, it seems fairly well covered, so I shall leave that and then we'll give it a rub down once it's dry. Well, that's coat number 3 dried nicely on there now, so I'll quickly buff it off with the 1000 grit. Just point the camera over that way so you can see me at it. There we go. And then strap that on. Very quick. Very quick buffing off there, just to get rid of that off there. And I'll just remove any dust before doing the final coat of lacquer. It's looking nice, so hopefully this will just be the last coat. Well, that looks good, so I'll leave that for a while and come back to it later. The reason I'm doing this in this workshop rather than in my mucky workshop is that I need the heat. I don't have a heater in the mucky workshop, or I could put a little electric heater in or the gas fire, but it produces too much water comes off the gas fire and keeping it up to enough temperature, and I've spent a long time drying these out, so I don't want to get them damp again. So by having them in here I can have the log burner burning, generating plenty of heat, so it will dry these out. So hopefully that'll be fine, and I'll come back to that in half an hour and we'll see. Well, that's most of Christmas Day done for. It's now just over a year since I started working properly on Jabberwocky. So I started Christmas Eve last year, so I'm continuing with this. This has now had 4 coats, so it was sanded after the first coat and after the third. It's still fairly matte, even though it's actually the gloss lacquer that I'm using. So I'm actually going to build up a few more coats just to try and give myself a good gloss finish on it. I don't want too good a gloss finish, I will still want it a little matte, but this is more matte than I want, so I shall keep going. So on with the mask again, and off we go. should be enough. Right, better get back to the family. Bye for now. Well, it's a few days after Christmas and I'm now starting to make progress with the rest of all these panels and things. Currently just on the second coat. I did the first one yesterday, sanded it off, or just quick buff off just to take the raised grain off. I've just given it the second coat. Got loads more still to do, but I'll keep plugging away. So hopefully by the end of the Christmas holidays I'll actually have all of these done and be able to get on with the next part of the construction, which is actually putting them together to make the outer chests.